Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday Sportscenter show, partnered with Woodbury University Sportscenter with Loro and Matt. And today we have a lot to talk about: NFL offseason, NCAA March Madness tournament, lots of upsets. I know your bracket's kind of busted, so we'll kind of dive deep into that. So, Matt, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, and actually, in both my groups that I'm doing the bracket in, I'm hanging in there still. I'm still contending. I'm not in first place, but I'm right up there, and things might break my way. So we'll see how they go.
My bracket's a little bit busted because I got to tell you that Oral Roberts beat Ohio State. I had Ohio State at least going to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 on my bracket, but Oral Roberts just shocked the world.
Yeah. And so did Abilene Christian over Texas. I had Texas going to the Final Four, and that's not happening.
I had Georgetown winning it all, but that's not happening too. They got knocked out by Colorado.
Yeah. I have Gonzaga beating Baylor in the finals, and they're still alive, both those teams.
They are, because they beat this prospective teams that they're supposed to be. They're pretty much on their way to the Final Four here, and with that being said, we'll get more into that in just a minute. So the Lakers, however, let's talk about their game first. So the Lakers, however, they lost to the Hawks on a LeBron James injury, and then on Sunday they just did not look very good on both ends of the floor against Chris Paul and Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, they did not. No, and I'll tell you, the Phoenix Suns, I'll give them this: that Chris Paul, he is up there with LeBron James and Steph Curry, and I would say Kevin Durant. He is a guy that you put on a team and they become instant contenders, instant winners, and they're really good team leaders. And I'm glad to see Phoenix getting a lot of success finally. They've been a kind of a down and out kind of franchise. They have an exciting team this year. So I wish them a lot of luck. I think they're going to be very exciting to watch in the playoffs. But yeah, the Lakers right now, panic mode, I would say. That is a high ankle sprain. That's a tough injury. And granted, he'll come back from that probably in 5 weeks, I would say. But it's going to be really rough without LeBron and especially without AD for the next 3 weeks or so. So this is a critical 3 weeks right here, really a critical 5 weeks until they get both of their big men back with LeBron and AD.
Oh, absolutely. Thursday's the trade deadline. The Lakers are paying attention to the trade deadline or the buyout market. So from a Pistons fan perspective yourself, would you want to see Andre Drummond get bought up by the Cavaliers and then join the Lakers?
Yeah, I think that at this point, that'd probably be pretty good. The thing is though, Drummond might add a little bit off the bench for him, but a lot of their signings in the offseason, I would say, with the exception of Dennis Schroeder, they haven't really panned out as well. Like Gasol and Montrezl Harrell, for example, they haven't quite been as good as I think that they were hoping for. Schroeder has. Dennis Schroeder's been really good. So they need that core group of guys to carry this team for a little bit. And if they think that Drummond is going to help them here, they'll make a push for him. Someone should make a push for Drummond. If you're trying to compete for a title, it's not going to be the Nets because they just got Blake Griffin, but it could be the Lakers. I also think, interesting idea, I wonder if the Clippers might make a move, not for Drummond, but what about for Lonzo Ball?
Ooh, man.
What about trading Lou Williams for Lonzo Ball to bring him back to LA just with the other team? That might be fun to watch because he could show the Lakers, he has something to prove against him. And he's improved his 3-point shooting. He's a good defender with the Clippers. You have with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Lonzo Ball. That'd be a really good defensive team going into the playoffs. So I'm wondering if the Clippers might do something. I don't think they'd go for Andre Drummond, but they might go for Lonzo Ball.
They could, because I think the Clippers have played a lot better. Like last night, I heard that they beat the Atlanta Hawks. I thought Atlanta was going to beat the Clippers, but with Atlanta, they've been playing so well with Nate McMillan's the head coach. I kind of think that the Hawks should just remove the interim tag off of him.
Yeah, and it's if there's one thing about the Lakers, like with these two injuries here, is the West is now, I think, wide open. The Lakers, if AD and LeBron come back and they're both healthy, yeah, they might be favorites still. But with their injuries, you're never going to feel like they're 100% ready to go. And so I think the West is now wide open. It could be the Suns, it could be the Clippers, it could be the Nuggets. There's the Jazz, of course. There might be a couple of any of those 8 teams that make the playoffs might be in a position to make a run here. It'll be fun.
It will be fun. The West is always fun to watch, but also, what do you expect tonight from the Lakers when they take on the New Orleans Pelicans? The Pelicans are not necessarily the greatest team out there. They're fun offensively when Zion makes these highlight reel plays, but I was told that Stan Van Gundy's kind of done a 50-50 job with the Pelicans.
Yeah, I remember when I remember him as coach of the Pistons. He was one of those guys that wanted a lot of control and didn't really show anything for it, and that kind of works with them. I wouldn't say it works, but I would say you can get away with that with a team like the Pistons, where the owner is now he's an absentee owner, and he's like, yeah, fine, just I'll outsource all this to one guy. The Pelicans might be in the same position. I feel like I never thought the hire of Stan Van Gundy was the best for New Orleans. That being said, maybe they'll make a move here and maybe they'll show some improvement. But if not, I think they need to, after this year, they need to take a look at, their coach and their front office and see, can they make a deal here? And maybe it'll be that deal with, sending Lonzo Ball and bringing in Lou Williams or something like that. So
that probably would happen, but I think that the Pelicans are a young team that's pretty much on the rise with the young core that they have, but I don't think the Pelicans would want to deal Lonzo Ball. They just extended Brandon Ingram. But also, what's your thoughts on the Houston Rockets finally breaking their losing streak? And after losing 20 straight games, I felt like that the losing streak could have gone to 21, assuming if the Raptors were to win. I'm kind of laughing right now.
Yeah, it was, that's a horrific streak. And it goes to show you, now I know why that Westbrook and Harden wanted out of there. Granted, their departure helped precipitate all this, but you shouldn't lose 20 games in a row, in the NBA. You just you can't do that. And so no matter how bad your team is. And that is, like I said, we talked about this before, Houston's just a mess. The Texans are a mess. The Rockets are a mess. The Astros are cheating, or they were cheating. It's what's going on with those sports teams? I don't know.
The Rockets, they have Oladipo and a Wall, but I wouldn't be shocked if those guys were on the move come trade deadline day. Look, the Miami Heat are kind of a player away from being a true contender in the East as if they get another star with Jimmy Butler. What if they add Victor Oladipo to join Jimmy Butler in Miami? I think that would be that would make Miami very, very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Miami started out very slow to begin the season, the Miami Heat are a team that you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, and you know what? Jimmy Butler is that type of person too, who I think he's a good team leader, and he's a good guy that you can kind of put the team on your back to get you through some tough spots. And I like Jimmy Butler. So I wouldn't count them out in the East. I think the East, you have the Net, followed by the 76ers. Then you have the Bucks. And then you have teams like the Celtics, the Heat. And that might be kind of it. Unless I'm forgetting a team here, but
Yes, but the Lakers after this game, they're going to have a tough test. Without LeBron and AD, they're going to be facing a team that's very good in the East in the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, this will be a tough stretch for them. I mean, it's possible that they could actually drop down to like 7th or 8th seed or even out of the playoff picture if depending on these next 3-4 weeks, like if they really start losing games. I don't think it'll be that. I don't think it'll be worst case scenario, but we'll have to keep an eye on them.
Yes, because the Lakers got the Sixers Thursday. They got the Cavs Friday. They should beat the Cavs.
Yeah.
And then they should beat the Orlando Magic Sunday. But I heard that Aaron Gordon wants out of there. Would you want to see Aaron Gordon join Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets? That would be something.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah.
Because who's going to win with the Orlando Magic? Who's going to want to play for them?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know.
Like Vucevic might get on the move.
Yeah.
And Aaron Gordon, I heard, wants out of there. But if he's a Denver Nugget with Jokic, Denver is probably going to be so scary.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Utah. I mean, Utah's had a great year all year long. They've with Gobert and Mitchell and Connolly, they look like a complete team.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
people are kind of snoozing on them because I think they're you think of them as like they don't really have a big star, you know. I think that's probably why people are sleeping on them, but they're good.
Yeah, the Jazz are very good, and with that being said, tell me what your thoughts are on the passing of a Laker icon, Elgin Baylor, who passed away yesterday because he had natural health causes.
Yeah, well, long life, 86 years old, and great Laker. You know, he was really Mr. Laker, the first Mr. Laker, right? And he played his entire career with the team. When they moved here from Minneapolis, like he was the face of the franchise, and then he had a career in the Clippers front office too. He was a front office guy for Clippers for 20 years, so a long career in basketball for sure for that guy.
He and Jerry West got to play together in the 70s Lakers teams.
Yeah, yep.
And Jerry West, I heard, was very, very sad to hear about his former teammate and friend passing away. And Elgin Baylor was also not only a trailblazer on the basketball court, he was a trailblazer for social justice.
Yeah.
Because I think he wanted equality in this world. Like, look, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is an advocate for that now.
Yep.
And Magic Johnson, too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, Some NFL stuff to talk about. So, what do you think about the Rams signing Deshaun Jackson as the Rams added a weapon for Matthew Stafford? Are the Rams loading up offensively to build their team or to build their offense around Stafford with some more weapons?
Yeah. You know, the Rams, I would say, are in a really strong position here. I would say that I would say the NFC right now, I'd still maybe put Tampa as number one, the Rams at number two. That's how I'd have it. I think they should win that division, and they'll be hosting a playoff game, I think. And they should be.
SoFi Stadium's going to have. You mean SoFi Stadium is going to host a playoff game for the first time? Not only that they got the Super Bowl, they'll get a playoff game to host.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, it'll be here at SoFi Stadium next year, the Super Bowl, and maybe they'll host it. You know, the Rams will play in their home stadium, just like the Buccaneers did this past year.
Who would have thought that last year?
Yeah, it's never happened, and all of a sudden it could happen 2 years in a row.
It could.
We'll see. I think the Buccaneers are still the team to beat.
Yes, the Buccaneers are still the team to beat in the NFC. Now that Drew Brees retired, now that Drew Brees retired, I think the NFC will run through Green Bay or Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think it'll. Yeah, I'd put Green Bay as number 3 right now.
Is it because you think the Packers need more weapons for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I don't think they've done anything in the offseason, you know, and part of it is like they had a really good team last year, and they they got punched in the mouth by the Buccaneers when they came into Lambeau,
Yeah.
right? And
Their defense
so,
wasn't ready for that offense.
yeah, in a way, it's like, well, maybe we can use the same guys and better plan. But the Buccaneers, they've kept all their guys with the exception of maybe AB. We don't know what's going to happen with AB. And the Rams have made a ton of moves. Yeah, and you're going to see that the 49ers are going to be better with Garoppolo, assuming he's healthy. The Cardinals have made moves.
They have.
You'll
Seattle,
see that Seattle maybe they're supposedly Russell Wilson wants AB. So we'll see what happens with that. But the Packers, they had the benefit of playing in the NFC North. And you're going to have the Lions are a doormat. The Bears, they did not solve their quarterback problem. They arguably got worse. And the Vikings, they're just a kind of a conservative, boring 9-7, 8-8 team, really, I think is what their MO is. So the Packers should have an easy time in their division, which means you get to host a home playoff game. And, maybe I haven't seen the rest of their schedule yet, but
the schedule doesn't come out until like May after the draft. So we'll take a look at the schedules for the Patriots and the Rams and the Chargers. But the Packers actually play for their interconference opponents. They get to play the AFC, all of the AFC North next year.
Yeah.
And
the Packers do?
Yeah. So basically, it's going to be a 17-game schedule, and the Packers will get to play the Chiefs next year. So they'll get to play Mahomes next year.
Oh, it'll be a tough one.
And that hasn't happened in real life yet. When Rodgers goes up against Mahomes, I think the Chiefs are still going to be a very good team that will make it to the Super Bowl. Could they make it for a third straight year? That remains to be seen, though. But they have made some good moves in getting Joe Thuney to their offensive line.
Yeah.
So tell me your thoughts on Kenny Golladay. He's a former Lion. Now he's going to take his talents to the Big Apple and join the New York Football Giants, as the Giants were looking to get a weapon for Daniel Jones. What do you think of that? From a Lions fan perspective, do you think Kenny Golladay gives Daniel Jones another toy to throw to?
Yes. Golladay he was probably the best receiver on the market this offseason. He's a great talent. He is sometimes hurt. That's, I guess, a problem, with him. But he's a great talent. And to be honest, I think this is the Giants also saying to Daniel Jones, we got to win this year. Like this year, we need to get to the playoffs with you. And they'll have Saquon Barkley back. You now have Golladay as like a great receiver threat. The rest of the team is you got to be able to win with that team. So especially in a division like the NFC East, which is terrible. And so you've got to win this year. So I think Daniel Jones, he's on the clock. It's kind of like where Baker was last year. I think the Browns had to make the playoffs last year for Baker to stay on the team. And they did that, and then they won a playoff game. And so they're, Baker, and he did what he was supposed to do. Like Mitchell Trubisky did not do what he was supposed to do. He got him to the playoffs, didn't win. They moved off him. I think Daniel Jones, he's next up. You got to make the playoffs, and then maybe they'll probably stay with him if they just make the playoffs, depending on things. But, I think the Bears had a better team around Trubisky than Jones has around him, especially with the Bears. Their defense has been quite good, so. But, yeah, that's what I think the situation with Golladay. Great talent, sometimes injured, and now Daniel Jones, he's on the clock. He needs to win.
Yeah, absolutely. This is he's got to step it up now. But speaking of Mitchell Trubisky, what do you think of him backing up Josh Allen with the Bills? Do you think this is a good position for him?
I think it's a bit strange. I'll admit it's a bit strange to see Trubisky backing up someone like Josh Allen, but I feel that it's a good fit for the Bills because if Josh Allen gets hurt, Trubisky, I think, is a very good backup. Like, he's going to be in the category of like a really good backup who might get a second shot to be a starter. He might have a type of Ryan Tannehill type of career, or something along those lines.
I mean, that could. Like, what I was saying is that Josh Allen's already the future of the Buffalo Bills at quarterback.
Yeah, and Trubisky, you could say too, less pressure on him. He could learn. He could learn from Josh Allen in that offense, and their offensive coordinator, I forget his name now.
Brian Daboll is a great offensive coordinator. Good play
Brian
call.
Daboll. Yeah, and so, I think it could end up working out for a lot of them. It's kind of like what happened to Mariota too. Like, Mariota seems like he's a great backup to have on your team, and he's deserving of a second chance to start. I think it just didn't happen this offseason.
Yeah, so actually with the Bills, if you look at the receiving core, now that they have Emmanuel Sanders in the mix with Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Cole Beasley, do you think Emmanuel Sanders is going to be a good veteran presence for that receiving core with Josh Allen?
Yeah, I think so. And, the other thing I was going to mention is when teams are it's so important to have a good quarterback as a backup. You've seen it happen where when this doesn't happen, like when Peyton Manning was out with the Colts, the team collapsed, right? When you have a team that has a really good backup quarterback, if it's the Raiders with Mariota, the Bills with Trubisky, that your starting quarterback, if he's out for a couple of weeks or a month, your season isn't totally ruined, right? You can put a guy in there and actually compete in those games. So I think the value of backup quarterbacks is really important.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trubisky's going to be a good backup to Josh Allen. Like, look what the Patriots look at what my Patriots did. They got Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. They're a quarterback away. Even though that they made a lot of these moves, do you think the Patriots are going to be back to being division winners like we talked about last week, or do you still think the Bills are going to win the division?
I still think that the Bills are going to win, and I'm still not sold on the Patriots. Like, I know they made a lot of good offseason acquisitions, signings. You don't know if these guys will work out, though. They might not. You have guys like Hunter Henry, a good talent. He's often injured. He has not completed a full season. So Jonnu Smith, is he really that good? I don't know. Cam Newton, I think he could be a lot better this year now that he's in his second year in Belichick's system. Now that there's no COVID, that's going to be really interfering so much with things. So I'm actually fine with them sticking with Cam Newton, although they might end up drafting or even going out and trading for or signing another quarterback. So
could be Deshaun Watson, or could Patriots. I still want them getting Mac Jones to beat out Cam Newton as the starting quarterback for the Patriots.
Yeah, yep.
That's what I want to see. But I was going to send
they get Deshaun Watson, that would be a huge game changer for them.
Oh my gosh!
They get Deshaun Watson, that'd be. But I don't think they have the capital to do it.
Because Belichick has a connection with Nick Saban, and Nick Saban tells Bill Belichick how good these players are in Alabama, so that Belichick can draft some of his guys in Alabama.
Yeah.
That's why I think Mac Jones will end up being a Patriot and a starting quarterback for the Patriots, because I think Nick Saban and Bill Belichick have been talking about Mac Jones and that their friendship is very good. But also, what do you think about Marcus Mariota getting a pick, staying with the Raiders? And also, what do you think about Juju Smith-Schuster staying with Pittsburgh?
Yeah, but Juju, I don't get that. I mean, he was offered more money by the Ravens, I know, right? And
the Jets.
There's another team.
And the Jets. With Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I could see him turn on the Jets being like, I don't know who the quarterback really is, or maybe he doesn't trust Darnold. Like, I could see him saying, like, I don't want to be in a rebuild. it doesn't make as much sense to turn down the Ravens. I mean, they're a contending team. They're almost a playoff lock every year, and I would say they're in a better position, I think, than the Steelers. So, I mean, it could just be that he's happy with the teammates that he's got. He's happy with the coaching, and you never know. Maybe there's guys in the Steelers or on the Ravens he doesn't like. They have a pretty good rivalry. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I was a little bit surprised he stayed. And then what was the other one you said?
Marcus Mariota taking a pay cut to remain the backup quarterback for Derek Carr.
Yeah, I was more surprised that a team wouldn't try to make a move to get him as a starter. I think maybe he'd fit in well with football team, like in Ron Rivera's system. Like maybe that would be a pretty good guy to have. Who else? You could have seen maybe the Bears upgrading to get him.
Yeah, like why Andy Dalton? Like, come on.
Yeah,
I'm not guaranteeing that Andy Dalton's the starting quarterback. I want the Bears to use this draft class to get their quarterback so that they could, so that whoever that may be can challenge Nick Foles and Andy Dalton for the starting spot. And I think whoever that rookie is easily going to beat out Nick Foles and Andy Dalton for that starting job.
Yeah, for sure. And Mariota, I think, had a few different. He could have gone to a couple different areas, to teams. He could have been a part of. Maybe he would have gone to the Texans. And if the Raiders could have done a 3-way trade or something like that. So there were some options out there, and maybe with the salary cap dropping like $8 million or $9 million per team, maybe this kind of affected what a lot of teams were wanting to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. But also, let's go to the Chargers and talk about some of their recent signings. So I think the big signee for the Chargers was signing Jared Cook to a 1-year deal after letting go of Hunter Henry. I didn't think the Chargers should have let go of Hunter Henry. At least I get to see him for one of the teams that I root for in the Patriots. But tell me what you think Jared Cook adds to the Chargers offense. Do you think he is going to be a fantastic target for Justin Herbert?
Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty good. His numbers are fine. So I think it's going to be a big improvement. Yeah.
They just kept Steven Anderson, and I think with now Hunter Henry gone, I think Donald Farham is going to have a breakout season.
Ooh, yeah.
He's a guy that come from a practice squad team. I think he's going to end up being a Pro Bowler.
Okay, cool.
That's what I kind of think here, just because when I look at the signings for the Chargers, they got Corey Linsley to kind of stabilize that offensive line to go with Justin Herbert. You got to protect him. Now the next thing is, do you think Melvin Ingram will stay with the Chargers, or do you think he will stay in the division and go to the Chiefs?
I think that where's he at right now?
I don't think he signed. I heard he was visiting with the Chiefs.
Oh, okay. Melvin Ingram?
Yeah, not Gordon. Ingram.
Yeah.
Because Melvin Gordon stayed in the division, but he ended up with the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, Ingram, I think is he'll be I'm not sure where he's going to go, to be honest. I guess the Chiefs could use him, and he'd be a pretty good addition there.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, the Chiefs defense wasn't good in the Super Bowl last year. I think they're going to learn from their mistakes, and I think that the Chiefs will be a lot better next year. If you agree with me.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that now that you got Joe Tooney to protect Mahomes, which I think that's needed. Do you think the Chiefs will keep Sammy Watkins? Where do you think he ends up? Does he stay with Mahomes, or do you think Sammy Watkins goes to Baltimore and plays with Lamar Jackson?
Ooh, I like to see him play with Lamar Jackson, I think.
I think I would like to see that too, because the thing with Sammy Watkins is a deep threat receiver. And I think that if he goes to the Ravens to join Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews in that receiving core, I think Sammy Watkins adds another deep threat for Lamar Jackson that the Ravens are looking for. Because I think the Ravens need another deep threat just because I don't want to see Lamar Jackson running all over the place. You got to get another playmaker opposite of Hollywood Brown and also J.K. Dobbins. That's going to make the Ravens very, very scary offensively. That's why I don't want to see Lamar running for his life all the time. He's got to be more accurate with the football.
Agreed.
So that's what I kind of think here. But for the Lions, now that they got Michael Brockers, what does this do for that defense? Do you think Michael Brockers is going to be a good presence for that defense?
I think so. I think it was a pretty good signing, and I'll be curious to see what I forget the defensive coordinator now. What's his name?
That's Aaron Glenn. That's who. Yeah. Dan Campbell worked with him in New Orleans. He kind of brought some of his New Orleans people.
Yeah, I think he'll do pretty well.
And Rams too, because of Brad Holmes. That's why it's a mix of Saints and Rams people on the coaching staff with Campbell.
Yep.
So that's why I think. Do you think Dan Campbell's going to do a good job in his first year with the Lions, even though the Lions have a bad roster?
It's going to be fun. I'm rooting for Dan Campbell and the Lions, and I think that I think he's going to make things really fun and interesting there. So yeah, I hope he does really well.
Actually, speaking of Detroit sports, the Lions hired a former player and Dan Campbell to be their head coach, and then the Tigers, however, hired former catcher who used to play for the Tigers, A.J. Hinch, to be their manager. Both teams have promise, but we talked about this many times that the Tigers, as we'll talk about baseball in just a minute, that the Tigers still need a lot of work.
They do. I saw Casey Mize was named their opening day starter.
Oh, do you think we'll talk about that in just a minute? But for the Rams, now that Stafford's there, now that they have Jackson, do you think the Rams are going to still go all out and get some more offensive pieces for Stafford, or do you think the Rams are going to get some more defensive pieces and fix some of their problems that they had defensively against the Packers, so that their defense can be geared up for another run?
All right, I'm sorry. Matthew Boyd was named their opening day starter. I was wrong with that.
Oh, okay. I was just asking about the Rams. Now that they got Deshaun Jackson, do you think they need another weapon, or do you think they need to fix their defense?
No, I think they're in pretty good shape.
Here's what I think. When the Rams start playing, who's going to want to watch Matthew Stafford play at SoFi Stadium? It's Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah. Yep.
And
they'll be watching each other, and Matthew Stafford will probably be at some Dodger games this summer.
Yeah. You know what I think? That tells me something. That even though Clayton Kershaw's in a contract year, I expect him to stay in LA and be a Dodger for at least a while, now that Matthew Stafford is in LA with the Rams.
Yeah.
And I want to see both of them hang out in the offseason.
Yeah.
But you were saying that you would expect Matthew Stafford to be at some Dodger games this year just to watch Clayton Kershaw?
Yeah, I'll be looking for him behind home plate.
Well, yeah, because he used to play some youth sports with Clayton Kershaw, and they both went to the same high school.
Yep.
I've always liked Matthew Stafford. I think he did everything he can to be the savior of quarterbacks for the Detroit Lions. I think he was the best Lions quarterback in the history of the Detroit Lions. But he was surrounded by a bad front office, and they didn't give him enough weapons.
Yeah, I agree, 100% agree. And I think now he has a good front office and a good head coach with the Rams. So no excuses now. Hopefully he stays healthy.
He's got to stay healthy. He's known to be injury prone, but I'm just very excited to see Matthew Stafford play for the Rams. I think he's going to make them a lot better. I was thinking to myself, I want to give Jared Goff one more chance with the Rams after he took them to the playoffs, but I just didn't know why Les Snead just gave up on him already. That was just, to me, that was kind of like, just give the guy one more chance.
Yeah.
Just to see if he can have a boom or bust type season, but ultimately the Rams just let him go for no reason.
Yeah.
So that's what I think here. So now let's talk about some baseball. So Matthew Boyd's the opening day starter for the Detroit Tigers. Do you think is he really your clear front ace, or do you think it's going to be Mize?
I don't know. I think there's, given they're a young team with, a couple rebuilding years left, it doesn't really matter so much. Either one, I think, would be a fine number one, and they could end up trading one of them eventually. We'll see. But
they might. They could trade Joe Jimenez. I've talked about him being on the trade block for more prospects because I think Joe Jimenez is arguably one of your best relief pitchers. But I do think that if you trade him to a team like the Yankees or the Mets, if they're looking to upgrade their bullpen at the trade deadline, he would be a good piece for any team.
Yeah.
So let's see who has the prospects. Could it be the Dodgers or something like that? But I think that the Dodgers are pretty content with their bullpen right now.
Yeah.
But also, I think that the Tigers are probably going to start off winless. But knowing AJ Hinch, he's going to get them to play hard regardless if they are projected to tank or not.
Yeah.
But I just think the better team in that division right now, I think the White Sox are going to win this division like we talked about before.
Yep, me too.
I saw them play against the Dodgers in Cactus League play. They look awfully good. I like what Tony La Russa is doing. I think Tony La Russa is bringing an old school type approach to this White Sox team, but I also hear he's not really good at relating to young players, and I think that will change now that he has to work with Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, Lucas Giolito, Michael Kopech, Yohan Moncada. I think he'll get them to be more professionals.
Yeah, you could always maybe get around that too by bringing in managers that can mediate between players and the head manager. So that might be a strategy too.
So the Dodgers yesterday, they lost, but Trevor Bauer looked awfully good. He started out very good, and then in the fifth inning, he just kind of gave up too many home runs and hits. So do you think Trevor Bauer is definitely – a lot of people are – I saw a report that Trevor Bauer is projected to have a bad year in 2021 with the Dodgers, and I'm like, that's not going to happen. Trevor Bauer has really matured so much since his incident with the Cleveland Indians when he threw the ball into that water fountain in Kansas City. I just felt like that his maturity has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that? Do you think Trevor Bauer has matured a lot?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, and I'm telling you what, I think the Angels have missed out on a good pitcher just because I was telling you that it was between the Dodgers and the Angels and the Mets for Trevor Bauer to go to. But I think the Dodgers did a good job in convincing him to be here.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's break this down. So Kershaw's the opening day starter for the Dodgers in Colorado next Thursday. It looks like we're going to see Trevor Bauer pitch on Friday against Colorado. That Dave Roberts said that could kind of change depending on how the rest of the week goes. It looks like Bauer's going to start Friday, and then we'll see Buehler on Saturday. So how do you think this rotation is going to end up with? Do you think Price and May will end up in the rotation so that Julio Urias goes to the bullpen?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think this is gonna be a tough decision. I'll tell you that. Very tough.
It is because as much as I like Julio Urias as a starter, the first inning kind of concerns me because I think Julio Urias doesn't have the confidence in the first inning. He gives up a lot. He throws too many pitches in the first inning. Take a look at last year in the World Series, Game 6. I feel like he's better off in the bullpen because he has the ability to close out games. And assuming if the Dodgers don't want to keep Kenley Jansen next year, you gotta give him closer reps. And I do see Julio Urias being the future closer of the Dodgers because it told me that he was able to close out Game 7 of the NLCS against the Braves. He had a 3-inning save then, and then he also had a 3-inning save against the Rays in Game 6 of the World Series. That's what tells me why I think he's better in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Because you got him, you got Victor Gonzalez, you got Knebel that I think is going to be tremendous in any high leverage role. Blake Trinan coming back is really going to be a big help to the Dodger bullpen. But also Gratterall I like, but I heard that he's most likely not going to be ready for opening day because it's not because he's hurt. He just didn't get a chance to pitch in the Venezuelan League that was like postponed because of COVID.
Yeah.
That could have been beneficial for him, but I think that having him not break camp and just get more time in extended spring training will really help him get ready, and I think he'll be back at some point at the end of April.
Uh-huh.
It's not really he's hurt or anything. And Joe Kelly, I don't think he's ready for opening day.
Yeah, I agree.
So also, let's talk about this. With a week away in the NL West, who do you think is going to be the third best team in the National League West? Do you pick the Giants, or do you pick the Diamondbacks to be the third best team behind the Dodgers and the Padres?
I think that it's probably going to be the Diamondbacks. But yeah, it's tough. Like, the Dodgers and Padres are going to be so dominant in that division, I think.
It's going to be a great race for first place in the National League West.
Yep.
Because I think that, if you look at the pitching matchups for the Dodgers and Padres, which one are you looking forward to the most? Clayton Kershaw versus Blake Snell, or Walker Buehler versus Chris Paddock?
I'm looking for Walker Buehler versus Chris Paddock. That'll be a good one.
That is going to be good. What about seeing Blake Snell get a start against the Dodgers? He is going to probably want to get redemption on them after getting pulled in the sixth inning by Kevin Cash, who the Rays are an analytical team. They don't know how to use their starters that well, to be honest.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch too.
So I think, and also, what about Yu Darvish? Former Dodger himself. Now he gets to be with the Padres because of A.J. Preller. Do you think that he's going to be a good addition to the Padres starting rotation?
Yes. I think he's going to be a good – I think he'll definitely be a good addition, yeah. Padres look better and better. They look really tough.
They look tough. I mean, they look good on paper. I think that if you look at their lineup, they're like the Dodgers lineup. Like, you got Machado. I don't think Machado's a three-hitter, in my opinion. I would put Tommy Pham at 3 so that Machado can produce runs in the 5 spot.
Yeah.
That's why I don't see Machado as a number 3 hitter in my books. He's more of a guy that can just drive in runs in the 5 spot, and then Hosmer hits cleanup.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be pretty good.
Because I think the Padres offense matches up well with the Dodgers offense.
Uh-huh.
And the starting pitching, too, matches with the Dodgers starting pitching. That's why I think those games, 19 times a year, are going to be so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
they're going to be must-see TV. What other Dodger games are you looking forward to besides seeing them play against the Padres? Are you looking forward to seeing them play against the Astros and also the Angels?
Yes. Let me see. There were some games, I think, just here in April that I was looking forward to. Let's see. Here comes the schedule. Right now.
I mean, the Dodgers have an easy schedule to begin April, but I think the toughest test for them is going to be against the Padres and the A's.
Yeah, they also host the Nationals.
I feel like that's kind of weird that the Dodgers have to start their season at home with a non-NL West team. I feel like that they should start with an NL West team. Do the Padres if I were them, if I were the schedule maker, because that would be a good way to start the home schedule, an NLDS rematch.
Yeah,
with the Padres.
They have they have 2 series against the Padres. And I think their home against the Nationals will be interesting. They're at Oakland. That'll be a good series. And
Oakland's gonna be tough.
And they're home against the Reds for 3 games, and then they're at the Brewers. I might go to that home game against the Reds actually on Wednesday.
Really? That day game?
Yeah, it's a day game, yeah.
That could be a good possibility right there. I mean, because I think that the Reds, they're a team that you just can't really mess with.
Yeah.
And I think that so that being said, we're going to talk more about opening day next week. We're going to have a big opening day show. We're going to be talking about the Dodgers and Rockies. But next week, so this week, the Dodgers have the Cubs this week in Cactus League play. Then they play the A's. Then they play the Indians. And then they'll starting on Sunday, they're going to play 3 games with the Angels. And what I'm kind of anxious to kind of not see the minor leaguers in the games. I want to see the starters play the whole game now.
Yeah. I think the Angels' April is very interesting because they start off with a 4-game series against the White Sox, then 2 games against the Astros, then 4 games at Toronto, and then later in the month they host the Twins. They're also at the Astros for 4 games, so they have a bit of a tough start, I think.
The Angels do have a tough start. But look, the roster's pretty good. They got some pitching like Quintana and also Alex Cobb to be in their rotation. Do you think the Angels' rotation is going to be a lot better than it was last year? You picked the Angels to win the division, and I thought of you when Fox picked the Angels to win the American League West. And I'm like, do I agree with it? I just have to see. Their bullpen wasn't that good last year. It's going to be dependent on their bullpen.
Yeah. We'll see if their pitching can hold out. I'm optimistic that if they stay healthy, they can have the best team that they've had since they went to the playoffs last time, like 11 years ago.
Like, the thing is, Mike Trout's due to get a playoff win. He's due for that, and he's also – and I do think Mike Trout's happy in Anaheim, but I just feel like that a lot of people are saying that the Angels have ruined Mike Trout's prime is because they just didn't invest on pitching. All they did was get a lot of good hitters in their lineup. With Pujols, I think Pujols is good, but he's just not good how he used to be.
Yeah.
But I do feel like that since he's in a contract year, I think the Angels are going to be better off without that bad contract that the Angels gave Pujols.
Yeah.
And I feel like that the Angels should definitely spend next offseason on pitching. And get another bat, too. Like, get a Trevor Story at shortstop and upgrade over Iglesias, because I feel like that Trevor Story to the Angels would make sense to me, because I feel like that Trevor Story would also add a different dimension to the Angels lineup to go with Rendon and Ohtani and all that.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about Dexter Fowler being an Angel? Do you think he kind of starts so that you give time for Joe Adell to kind of develop his game?
Yeah, I think so.
Even though Joe Adell wasn't that great last year.
Yeah.
And I like Joe Adell. He has potential, but I do think that Joe Adell needs more time and more experience in the AAA level, because there wasn't a AAA season last year. I understand that, but I'm anxious to see what he can do. I think Joe Adell has the utmost potential to be the next Mike Trout, but I think he could be a dynamic duo with Mike Trout in the outfield.
Yeah, and Tigers have, it's the Tigers, their home games, they have a lot of afternoon games because it's colder there at night at this time of year. So their first 2 series against the Indians and the Twins, they start at 1:10 p.m.
I think the Tigers, they're probably going to get swept by the Indians.
Yeah, and the Twins maybe.
So let's talk about the NL Central. So with the Indians, now that they're without Lindor, do you think the Indians are still a division winner, or do you think they're a team that still competes for a wild card?
They'll be competing for a wild card, I think.
Do you think now that the Indians traded Lindor, my question for you is now, do you think now the Indians give the big money to Jose Ramirez?
That's a good idea. They probably should.
I thought that the Indians would just save money when they traded guys like Bauer and Kluber to other teams. They would just build their pitching staff around Shane Bieber and Zach Plesac. And then they also pay guys like Lindor and Ramirez both at the same time. But when the Indians traded Lindor to the Mets, that told me something. I think they're much more higher on Jose Ramirez than Lindor.
Yeah.
I do like Jose Ramirez. I think Jose Ramirez is a great clutch hitter that I think the Indians are going to want to build their team around for the future. But the Cleveland Indians might not be the Cleveland Indians after all. They're going to keep changing their name.
Yeah.
So what about the Royals? Do you think the Kansas City Royals have what it takes to kind of be the 4th or 3rd place team? Are you sleeping on the Kansas City Royals?
No, they'll be like the 4th best team in that division. Yeah.
I like Soler. He's like their best hitter. And then they just inked Salvador Perez to a new 4-year deal. What do you think of that?
They're making good moves.
Yeah, and then now in the American League East, are the Rays still going to be competing for a playoff spot now that they're without Blake Snell? They still got Glasnow, McKay. They still got the offense with Kiermaier, Margot, Meadows, Auto Serena. Ji-Man Choi, Yandy Diaz. Is that enough?
It's enough to be competing, yes. I think the Yankees will probably win the division, but
They were my pick to win the division last year. And look at the Rays. They stole the division crown from the Yankees last year. I didn't even expect that.
Yeah.
The Rays are one of the best teams in the American League. Don't get me wrong, but they don't spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
They have a talent. They're like the A's, in my opinion. They're cheap. They don't like to pay. I think the A's will be a lot different than the Rays, just because now that they got rid of Simeon and Davis, I think the A's should just invest and keep in paying money to Matt Chapman and Matt Olson and still use that ball method that they use. So now to hockey. So the Kings yesterday, they lost. They took 1-1 in the back-to-back. So they beat Vegas on Sunday, and then they beat San Jose yesterday. So are the Kings still a playoff team in your opinion?
I don't think so, but they've been playing pretty good.
They have. They have been playing very good hockey since their bad start. But you don't think the Kings make the playoffs because you think Colorado and Minnesota are going to be locking up the last two spots in the playoffs for the West Division?
No, yeah.
Yeah, because I like Kaprizov and the Avalanche. They're just a deep hockey team with Mikko Rantanen, Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Langeskog, Kyle McCarr, Peter Guber, Philip Guber, I mean. The Avalanche and the Knights, they're going to put on a show down the stretch, especially now that April's coming up. I think it's going to be between them who's going to win the Honda West Division.
Yeah.
What about your Red Wings? Are your Red Wings still going to is it time for them to kind of do a fire sale like the Sabres so that they can so that Yzerman can kind of reconstruct the roster?
Yeah, I've heard them say that everyone except for Dylan Larkin and their first-round draft picks that they made the last 3 or 4 years are
build around Larkin. Dylan Larkin's your first-line guy and your captain. I think he's going to be the future of the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah,
and I think that Yzerman is. I trust what Yzerman's doing over there. He's a winner. He won Stanley Cups for the Red Wings.
Yeah,
and I think that I think he'll make the best hockey moves out there, like the Kings are doing. Because I think the Red Wings have a bright future, but I don't think that they're ready to win yet.
Yeah.
So with that being said, with the Dodgers playing the Brewers today, do you think Cody Bellinger is going to go yard today?
Yeah, I think he will.
What about now that soccer's coming up, LA Galaxy? What do you think of their matchups coming up? They're going to play the New England Revolution on Saturday, and then they open up their season with Inter FC Miami. Do you think the LA Galaxy, now that you got Greg Yanni's the coach, who's going to really change the complexion of the LA Galaxy? He's a proven winner with the Toronto FC. Do you think that Greg Yanni is going to do a great job in his first year as the head coach of the LA Galaxy?
Yeah, I think so.
What about Chicharito? Do you think he's ready to shake off that rust and show everybody in LA that he's not a bust?
Yeah, I think he'll be maybe better, but he's still going to be kind of a bust, I think.
I think he might be as well. What about LAFC? They got a good roster, and I think they're going to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll be competing for a championship again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Matt, with that being said, you have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next week for opening day 2021 preview and more.
Looking forward to it. Bye.